we have one request to be on, but I do not see her here. All right, since Margaret Ackes was signed up to be on public comment, since she is not here, we will move on. Any other requests for public comment, just the one? So we will close public comment. Do I need a motion to close public comment?
No.
No motion, okay. Has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda? And if so, do I hear a motion to approve our agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Barry makes motion, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Our agenda is approved. And has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting? And if there are no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I move we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Frank makes that motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Approved. Tax releases. No tax releases this month, so we will move on to our report from Murphy Housing Authority, the Capital Fund Program 2023 annual plan and update to maintenance charges. Leah, the floor is yours.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Brought your packet on paper. One of the things I emailed you was wrong. I picked up the wrong thing and scanned in last year's capital fund, not this year's. So that's the first thing we'll be doing. If you look, the capital fund, basically the 5-year action plan, we always start with our amount for the current year. This year we've been awarded $268,555. That's up about $4,000 from last year. And with this rolling plan, we start that as our start of the year and go for 5 years. So what I'm needing is a resolution to accept the capital fund and this 5-year rolling plan with that new amount in it for this year. That's what I'm needing today.
So is there a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept.
Charlene makes that motion. Are there any questions from our board members? Do I need more time to kind of review that? If I can wait.
I might, yeah. I can tell you what, well, on there you'll see on that, it says transfer to operations. Because we're so small, HUD has us transfer that to our regular operations budget. Because we are using that money for preventative maintenance and upkeep with what we have. We're not building any new projects or any new things. And that saves us then from having to have a needs assessment by an outside party that would cost us as much for half of the grant. So that's what we do. I can tell you that the grant this year we're working on, I usually keep 2 in reserve, just in case we have an emergency. The one we're getting ready to do now, we have just repainted all the outside handrails. They look really nice. We changed the color and it just has, from white, now they're brown, and it has been, it's very earthy, very natural looking. And then on the projects, we're working with some new vinyl. We'll put some new vinyl on, because it's been 20-some years, it's getting kind of brittle, so.
What's the value of each of those rentals each month? Like, if they paid the monthly rent, what's that?
Well, the rent is 30% of their income. So we have like what we call a flat rent rate. If their monthly income of 30% would be $1,000, like on the 2-bedroom, that would stop at $650. And that's based on the fair market rent set by HUD for this area.
Okay.
So each tenant, we have rents from $50, which is the minimum if they have no income on that right now.
Okay.
I know we have the 4 properties, Halsey Street, Texana, Hill Circle,
Cool Springs.
and Cool Springs.
Yes.
How many total tenants do we, or
We have
residents?
84 apartments.
84 apartments. Okay, serving quite a few folks.
Yes, and it's such a need.
Yes.
People really have a need
calls,
for housing.
5 to 10 a day, every day.
I can see you do.
Yeah, bad situations, people living in cars, trying to stay in motels, and.
Do you have any availability
No,
right now?
We are full,
So do you have a waiting list?
we do. The last 3 openings, unfortunately, were just tenants we had pass away. Because nobody's moving, nobody's,
Well, there's no place they
there's
can
no place to
move.
go, so it's, yes. But that's what we're doing with the capital funds.
All right, so we have a motion. If there are no further questions, all in favor say aye. Motion passes.
Okay. Next thing we have is our streamline annual plan. Each year, we turn this in as if answering if we've had any changes to our policies. That would be into our admissions, our occupancy, and as of right now, we don't have any changes with anything, we're just going through operating as we are. We had our public meeting, we have no comments, we have no challenged elements. But what I need though, again, is just a motion to approve this so that I can send this on to HUD, to show them that we have approved our plan.
All right, I'll call for a motion.
If anybody's got any questions?
I move that we adopt a streamlined annual EHA plan.
Frank makes the motion. Any discussion or questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
And my third thing I have is an update to our schedule of maintenance charges. These are charges for things that we do that, we need to charge the tenant for. That's beyond normal wear and tear.
Right.
We don't use these a lot, but there are occasions they do. These have not been updated since 2005. So the current price I have on a refrigerator now, if somebody by chance happened to take one, since those are supplied, I could not bill them for anything but the $300, and they have gone up, yes, significantly. So what I have done is I have just kind of updated based on where we're at, and we, like I said, most of the time we just use these when it's above normal wear and tear, but I just wanted to get something that reflected a little bit of the current price. So I just would need a motion to approve these charges. And anything not on that list would just basically be current price plus labor to install.
Do you who do you get to clean, like the vacated units when they
Our
go?
maintenance department does,
So they go in and clean and paint?
yes. They do a real
That
good
can
job.
sometimes be a job.
They do a very good job. They've got a,
Do you have like no smoking policies
We
or
do.
animal,
It's,
no animals or pets?
smoking's
or-
within 25 feet of the building, so no inside smoking anymore. That has
Okay.
helped cut down on cleaning and,
Yes, 'cause it, yeah, it ruins the waffles.
yes,
Yeah.
the one we're in now cleaning the person was there before that, so they've had to spend a little extra time to get this up to, standards to
Sure.
clean and.
I'm looking at the price list. These are not outrageous
No.
prices by any means.
No, they're pretty
No,
good.
they're very-
They're on the low
They are.
They're very
listed,
fair.
so that's, yeah.
Well, that's what I tried, the people we're dealing with, and I don't, like I said, don't usually have to use these, but if we do.
Remove graffiti, 50 cents a square foot.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, wow.
I hate to say, I've not achieved that goal yet. We still have graffiti from 20 years ago on one wall that
Oh, man.
it just doesn't come off. But
Does
Thank
anyone want
you
to make
for
a
your
motion?
reporting and stuff.
All right, so she needs a,
a motion
A
to
motion to
approve the new
approve?
charges.
I'll make that motion.
you should. All right, all in favor say aye.
My only other thing was my month-to-date report, and Chad will address that one at the end unless y'all have any questions about anything on it.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is a financing resolution for downtown waterline rehabilitation project.
We submitted an RFP, sent it out to different financial institutions in the community, First Citizens Bank, United Community Bank, and Truist, formerly BB&T Bank. We had 2 responses. The lowest one for the fixed interest rate of 10 years, which is what I recommend for our cash flow, was United Community Bank, had a fixed rate of 4.26%. Truist was 4.3% over a 10-year period. This doesn't actually close the loan, that's not what you're doing, you're just giving me the authority to execute that loan. The bids are gonna come in April 11th, so as soon as we open those, I'll let you know what they come in at, hopefully they're favorable. This is something that, again, your water lines in downtown are over 100 years old,
We have
we
to
need to
do it.
replace them.
This isn't something we want to do,
No.
honestly, this is a,
No, the construction's gonna be a nightmare, I know, I've told our
Yeah.
staff, I wish we could pass the buck for the next 30 years, we can't, it needs to happen now, and, this is her option to do it. So,
and we have applied for a grant and we did not get that grant, so we're still not finished looking for money. But this is kind of a sense of urgency because it needs to get done before new pavement goes down, otherwise we're just digging up brand new pavement that NCDOT is putting down, and we're also losing water in parts of the town too, that
You'll never know, it's the high point in town. So it's not gonna bubble up like it would in a normal area. It's all gonna flow downhill, we'll never know until we replace it and dig it up.
All right, so do I have a motion to
Approve the resolution.
approve the resolution to allow Chad to seek financing?
To approve the financing terms in the
Yes.
resolution with United Community Bank in accordance with the RFP they submitted that you have a copy of. Again, 4.26%, which is better than what I thought they would get.
Yeah.
Yes, and you've checked all the options and you've done a good job.
It is
Yeah,
what it is.
it is what it is. So I make a motion to approve.
All right, Charlene makes a motion. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Number 7 is the budget amendment for the fire department relief fund. Chad?
I was unsure if we would receive, last year we missed out on the Department of Insurance allocation because our relief fund balance was too high. Frank and Barry know this because they're on the relief fund board. We use that fund, to pay supplemental insurance policies for our part-time firefighters and full-time staff. We didn't budget any for the Department of Insurance receipts because I didn't think we would get it. We did. So I'm just asking you to appropriate $6,500 when we've already received the money. We just haven't budgeted for it. Does that make sense?
So we've received it, just not appropriated.
Yeah, so we appropriate $6,500 in Department of Insurance funds for our relief fund, which we already received in October.
All right, so that sounds like a no-brainer.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Barry, any questions, discussion?
I'd like to make one comment. We were too conservative a couple of years back and didn't, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yes, sir.
So we decided to use it, so we got the money this year.
That's right. We increased our supplemental pension for our retirees from 800 to 1,000 to use more of it.
Right, you gotta use it up or you lose it. We found out the hard way.
We did.
That's all I'm saying.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Number 8 is the bike pedestrian planning grant application resolution.
This is something that NCDOT has been doing for the past decade or so. I know Franklin, it paid dividends for them. They applied in 2018 and have since gotten state and federal dollars to replace some of their dilapidated sidewalks. This would give us a 90%, pretty much a grant fund. We had to, our portion would be 10%. Don't know what that would be. You'd have to negotiate with the firm, but if we get it, we'd have a bike and pedestrian plan that we could actually help our connectivity. You know, we have, first of all, we have no, the way we fund our sidewalk improvements is kind of an ad hoc way. We don't have a CIP for certain areas. I suppose I could do a better job, but get a professional firm in here to prioritize it, plan it with Saba, Mountain True, you. I know on Bellevue Avenue, coming from the high school at Conneaut Park, for example, there's significant gaps that are really dangerous for folks to be running and walking on. I've heard from the cross-country and track coaches ever since I've been here about how dangerous it is to walk from the high school to the Conneaut Park, and there's gaps throughout town and how our sidewalks are connected. There's virtually no bike lanes either. This would plan that and then partner with DOT to do it, and they would fund 90% of this planning grant, so it's something I think we should do.
And it not only makes it safer for pedestrians and bicyclists and joggers, it also makes it safer for the vehicular traffic too, making sure there's adequate, safe
Yeah,
space.
It's aimed to make biking and walking practical. So right now we sort of emphasize recreational use, Riverwalk, Conneaut, but in terms of just walking to work, walking to school, that's where we sort of miss out. And we need to do a better job, and this would allow us to do it.
Do I hear a motion to accept this resolution?
I make a motion to accept.
Charlie makes a motion. Any discussion or questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Number 9 is the outdoor stage design contract discussion.
So we did an RFP in February, once we became aware that we received $70,000 to sort of plan, design a stage. This particular proposal, we had one firm respond, and I forwarded it to the county manager so they could get a look at it as well. He didn't have an issue with the RFP they submitted.
So the county was okay with that? Yes.
Did we get it right? No, I'm just kidding.
Not yet.
But, okay.
This is Joe.
What was I gonna say?
Wait,
Yeah, we had one firm respond. They did include the alternate site feasibility study, because I know there was interest to look at Warner Park as a viable alternative to just putting it in Conita Park where all the ball fields are. So they're gonna look at that, study it, and sort of give us an opinion of cost for each site and produce a schematic design for that proposal, so.
Well, this $70,000 grant we got pays for this survey, right?
We can't really ask a contractor to build something when we don't have a
Right.
design for it.
And this goes all the way to the end, the 70,000, I think.
It does.
Payment up front. They stay with us until the end of the project.
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion to accept item number 9, the stage design contract?
I move we accept the stage design as presented by Farmer and Morgan.
All right, Frank makes the motion. Any discussions, questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Motion passes.
Spending money.
Number 10 is the take-home vehicle policy for the police department.
We discussed this we discussed this for a while now. I do think it's time. We're the only police department, I know we're gonna get some pushback, but we're the only police department, in Western North Carolina that doesn't have this perk. It's more important than I initially realized. I was skeptical of take-home vehicles for some time because of the cost. But we're missing out on good people because we don't offer this benefit for our police officers. I think we produced a reasonable cost estimate for what it would cost. We overestimated. We assumed that currently our 2 unfilled positions would drive 50 miles per day for each workday. That may or may not be the case with the radius we set up, but, yeah, I think we overestimated the cost. I know gasoline was very, very expensive, in 21, and, likely won't get any cheaper, but prices have stabilized somewhat, I suppose. We predict, I think if you looked at the cost sheet, you know, we put it at $3.50 a gallon. I think it's under that right now, and I'm very well aware that it could go over that. I think your police chiefs put together a sound take-home policy that kind of puts the onus on the officers to be accountable for their horse, so to speak. Normally I would actually present this in their budget message that I'll give to you next month. It's a significant policy change with increased cost. But we have some unfilled positions and we need to recruit the best here. And this is part of it, and this is why I'm recommending it. Your police chief's here to take questions, I'll take questions. But we think it's the right thing to do at this point in time.
I have a question.
And I will say one more thing, Charlie, and I'll be happy to answer. Every town vehicle has GPS system in it, to where every supervisor, including me, knows when it cranks up, knows where it's going. If they're speeding, we can see it and hold them accountable if necessary. We can even set our little radius, to where if they go out past a certain area, we get a warning signal. So I think that's also helpful to know.
No, I just was thinking, you know, by them having vehicles at home, if there were some urgent emergency, it seems like they could get in their car and get to it faster than if they had to drive their car to the station and then get the car and then go to is that a fact?
That's actually correct, correct assessment, and I'll give you a perfect example of that, is when we had the call-in of the active shooter at Murphy High School.
Yeah.
We actually had 2 of our off-duty officers that got word of that, got their personal vehicles, had to come to the department, get their gear, go to the high school, whereas their gear is already in their car, they're ready to go, and it's a quicker response time.
I would think so.
And in that situation, minutes or seconds could save lives.
Absolutely.
It can work or it can't work. Okay, now, if it works, you're our police commissioner and he's our police chief. The buck stops with y'all, not us.
I agree.
So it's a management headache, it's gonna have to be your problem. I can see where it works, I can see where it don't work, so I'm gonna vote for it. I know you thought I was gonna vote against it, but I'm not. But it's y'all's responsibility to make it work, that's all I'm pointing out. It's not the board, we're legislative, we're not administrative or executive, so.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment. You're right.
Chief Lawman, do you see situations where we might have lost officers because other departments have offered to take home vehicles?
It's like Chad was saying, we're the only department in Western North Carolina, municipal department, that does not have this take-home policy. Bryson City initiated it in September of 2022. Right now, we have 2 potential employees that are in the balance of whether we have a take-home policy or not. One of them maybe for sure, the other one's kind of on the limb rather than not, regardless of the take-home policy.
And it's a tool to attract new officers.
It's
too.
a tool to not only attract personnel, it's a retention tool as well.
Yeah, I've been straddling the fence myself because I look at the pros and the cons, and so far that I've seen the pros outweigh the cons.
Yes, sir.
On this as well, so.
Yes, sir, and we have a 25-mile radius is what Chad has suggested. Nobody lives within that 25-mile radius, they all live closer, so the estimated hanging cost of what he has come up with is gonna be lower than actually.
And Chad, I really appreciate this spreadsheet that you put together that showed all of the potential officers, how much it would cost, and that just showed us the expense side of it too, but.
The 25 mile, it's not an arbitrary number, it's what my peers in Franklin and Silver are doing. And I think they have respectable police departments that I think if we're gonna emulate their particular policies, we should try. I know their managers fairly well and respect them, so.
Well, how was, our situation that just happened with, on Bear Paw Road? Say, we've got an officer that's pretty close to a situation, and, anything outside the city limits is generally the highway patrol or the county or the, wildlife commission, you know, there's so many agencies. Okay, so our officer responds and he's the first one there. What's gonna be your advice to see pursue the matter? I'm not talking about schools now. I know in schools, everybody wants to go in. But I'm talking about just the situation, who has, I know we don't really have the authority outside the city limits.
You are correct, the town's jurisdiction only goes 1 mile past city limits.
So we'd be a first responder kind of thing, right?
Right, I think what you're asking, if something happens outside of our jurisdiction, what would our stance be? Well, we don't have any authority outside of our
But the
jurisdiction.
tendency with a vehicle, and say he's 2 houses down, you know, out in Culberson, you know, and he would have to probably wait to the sheriff's department or the highway patrol.
We do have an MOU with the sheriff's department, and we just have to be requested by the sheriff's department to assist them.
Trying to create a situation where we won't have a lawsuit like the county's gonna have.
Yes, sir, and I've covered a lot of that stuff, jurisdictional matters in the policy.
Right, it's complicated around here too.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, I don't know, it's just, a lot of angles there, you know.
Well, my take on it is that we definitely should support it. This has been brought up, I guess, for years now, and ahead of me, I'm just going to my 2nd year. But I know that this was brought up last year, and I think I didn't really, but it was always out there. And I don't know that I really researched it or looked into it until it got brought back up at our, agenda for our meeting, our little roundtable session we did, where all the department heads kind of give their wants. And so I started looking into it, and I actually talked to an officer, a local officer here, and just explain to me why this works, like what am I missing? And I think just actually talking to him and getting his take on that is getting everything I needed just to be convinced that it was the right thing to do. So this is, I know it's not on us, and that's when we just have to trust our leadership to do their jobs, and if this, especially trying to get like employee retention is ridiculous in any field, but in police work, like I don't know why anybody wants to do that job, and I think it gets less and less, so we need to be able to get these people here, so, yeah, I think that's for sure.
And I think y'all are doing a very good job. We're very lucky to have
Well, thank
you and the whole crew and the staff.
Thank you, appreciate that, this is a good department.
I think it's a well thought out policy, and I agree with it 100%. And we need to be able to attract best, because we have the best, and we will keep the best in our department.
Well, I think everyone has spoken, so I think it's time to take a vote. Does someone wanna make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Barry makes the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And Chief Lomanek, while you're here, would you tell folks, about the stepped up patrol on Highway 64 West during the construction zone?
It's a program that's taking place this week through the Governor's Highway Safety Program. It's something that's, each department has where they can go into that program where we'll add with our presence, added patrol there. It's a safety initiative through the Governor's Highway Safety Program that we have put on social media, on our social media site, and gonna beef up the patrol and make the roads and highways safe.
Thanks, Chief. Has everyone had a chance to review the monthly reports? And if there's no discussion, can I get a motion to accept those monthly reports?
I make a motion to accept.
Charlene makes the motion. All in favor, say aye. Well, I forgot to ask for discussion. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. We did.
I appreciate those reports.
Gail, how'd you vote?
Because they're very,
Oh, I voted
informative.
for everything.
Okay, good, they want to verify that.
I said, I think those reports are very informative,
They really
and they
are.
spend a lot of time to do this.
I agree.
I appreciate it. I mean, down to so much as unstopping a drain or something. They give us the information.
I try to like look at
That's
those
very
pretty
good.
early.
Yes.
Like I'll notice like one month there was one missing. I was like, hey, where's the water one? Chad's like, you noticed? But you knew it was late and it was coming down. It wasn't late. It just wasn't in when our packet was totally ready. So it was coming. It was not late, but.
And I think that was Chad's idea, and when he got here with us, and that's been a great addition.
It helps you stay informed.
It
about what's
does,
going on out there.
tremendously.
Absolutely.
I know everyone in the police department on staff actually receives it now, so they're in the loop about what the police chief submitted to you. I think that's just a good thing, so.
Very good.
And we're also glad to have Ryan here tonight too, Cunningham over there.
Did you say congrats on the new position as well?
you.
For those who don't know, he's our assistant chief.
Is there a month ago?
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right. We voted for those, didn't we? I can't remember. This is the bad part, I'm getting old.
We just weird in
Yeah, we're voting.
We voted already? All right. So now let's
Gail
go.
voted for it too.
All right, so any discussion from our board members, town manager, town attorney?
I mean, I do, I was thinking about spoke first. I think there was a concern, I think we should address it. Someone was gonna speak today, during the public comment and didn't speak, but I feel like it's going to be brought up, and it has been brought up, if we could speak on it quickly, that there's a clinic within our city limits that has changed ownership and changed names, so completely new ownerships in the same building, rented from the same, I guess, nobody owns, or, I mean, it's a landlord, like somebody owns it, they rent the building. So I think the concern came up that maybe why they were, and I had the same concern. We have stipulations, there has to be like a special use permit for any sort of medical facilities to operate within the city limits, and there's many other things as well, but that's one of them. So, I guess the question is, they didn't really get a special use permit, and why, I think, so maybe Mac or Chad could maybe explain that.
The reason why is when a medical facility existed there, when the town board passed the requirement making medical facilities, conditional uses requiring a special use permit. So the medical facility there was not required to have a special use permit.
They were grandfathered in.
Right. And it's not with the owner or the operator, it's for the property, what's going on that piece of property. And if there is no change in the use, then the use can continue. So even though ownership has changed, the use, as I understand it, has not changed. So because no special use permit was required to begin with, it can continue, the use can continue without permit.
That makes sense.
Thank you for
Thank you for
clarifying that.
clarifying, cause.
Yeah, we can definitely get.
And there's so about that in section, 153.005 subsec, A4 in our zoning ordinance.
I'll write that number down too, just so I have it for reference. Oh, did you make copies?
Well, you have that if you want.
Oh, look at my copies.
I appreciate your checking into that. All right, any other discussion? Well, Barbara's here, not here to adjourn us.
This is Charlie.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, Charlie makes the motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Hi.